Ida for refusing to let my dad join me in the business my grandfather left us after he abandoned me and my grandmother for 6 years. Update 1. Hello. So I've decided to stick to my previous decision of not letting my father join me in the business. He rejected it first when it had been offered to him and then went MIA for 6 years, which is when my grandma and I handled it all. He doesn't deserve this and I know that now. Besides, I also found out that he has literally no credibility in the market at this point. I had people do some digging on him and we found out that he's most definitely living off of his wife's money at the moment because both the businesses he'd been involved in the past had failed. One of them had been a seafood restaurant chain that lasted for a couple of years but then eventually had to be shut down after facing a lot of losses, and then, 2 years ago, he tried to get into the food industry again with another product idea which also didn't work and shut down relatively faster. His wife's some biggie in the corporate world and is the CFO of her dad's company, which finally helped me make sense of why my dad was so willing to dance to her tunes back when they were dating. I'm sure that even if he wanted to invest or buy out part of our business, he'd do it with her money because I highly doubt he has any of his own at this point. After 2 failed businesses in 6 years, it seems unlikely, and I'm sure that joining me was his last attempt at making something of his own so he could stop living off of his wife's wealth. Too bad it's not happening because we're doing just fine without him and his money. And more importantly, if I can't trust him on a personal level, then I don't think I'd be willing to involve a person like that in my business that my grandma and I have worked so incredibly hard to revive. I'm glad that I posted about it here because a couple of the comments were really brutal with the reality check. Ha! I was allowing him to gaslight me into believing that he had any right over the business now after he'd sold his shares so long ago. All that emotional manipulation almost got to me, but I'm lucky I didn't break. So anyway, that's not happening anymore and I hope he doesn't come back to try and change my mind either. Update 2. Hey, everyone. My dad flew back to NYC last Monday and today's Wednesday, so a significant amount of time has passed since he left, but unfortunately he's still holding out hope that maybe I'll let him become a partner or something. He texted me from a number I didn't have saved so he could talk to me without getting blocked. Yet again, he asked me if I'd reconsidered my stance on his proposal, and when I said no, he replied by saying that I was being unreasonable and that this would only help my business grow exponentially. I don't think that's true in the first place, and even if it was, I still wouldn't let him come on board. I have zero trust in him and I don't respect him as a person. I texted him these exact things to let him know just how much I didn't want him as a business partner. I also told him that I was aware of his failed businesses in the past and that he depended on his wife to fund him. So technically, it wasn't even his money that I was refusing, it was his wife's. The bottom line was that no matter how much he offered, he was not going to be made a partner in the business and neither could he join as an investor. He had put in no time or hard work, so the entitlement to expect this from me was ridiculous. I blocked him after saying that and he hasn't been able to contact me since, although I did notice that he was typing something when I blocked him. I really don't want to find out what it was that he was saying because I have A. no interest in B. no time to talk to him. I'm done with this situation and I just wish he'd let it go too. Update 3. So I'm not entirely sure, but I think the drama regarding my dad and the business is over now. I didn't do anything though, it was all him. He made the mistake of spamming my comments with thief, crook and tons of bad reviews. None of which were true, of course. My business depends heavily on word of mouth, so this was really bad for me. And my dad was well aware of it, which is why he did this. It just proved what a huge gold digger and selfish jerk he was, because if he had any respect for his father at all, he wouldn't have tried to sabotage me and the business he built from the ground up. So I filed a case against him for trying to defame me, and that was enough for him to back off, probably because his wife wasn't going to tolerate it and they had a lot to lose if I chose to go public with that information. I've also filed a petition for a protective order against him. I don't know what's going to happen with it though, but he had been harassing me online and I'm sure it would have gone on for a long time if I hadn't initiated legal action against him. Anyway, this is where it ends hopefully. I'm doing great, and even though I do miss my grandma sometimes, I know she'd be proud of me and how far I've come. How far both of us have come, actually. Thank you for being there for me throughout this, because even though you guys don't realize it, Reddit has sort of become a safe space for me during these past few days. Venting to you guys helped me keep my head straight and I couldn't be more thankful for it.